Today I'll be t- today I'll be telling you how I feel about identity when it comes to in like the film industry in Canada. Um Now, I'll be honest, I haven't watched a lot of like Canadian films and TV shows, right? But to be honest, like you can't really blame me for not knowing too much about it as like I don't know. For where I come from, like I never know or see anything like popular or trending when it comes to Canadian content for entertainment, right? Because I always seen like and know of like American films and TV, um, Bollywood's films, TV, um, telenovela, you know, K dramas in South Korea and Japanese movies. Like people have like each of these culture and countries have their own distinct language, their humor, their they have their distinct flair to their content, right? When it comes to the entertainment industry, and I always like it. Just I don't know, like drives me um cuckoo bananas. I guess the way you I'll put it is that like how come that I hear like or see absolutely nothing that different when it comes to Canadian content. The only times that I would say that I notice when it comes to Canadian content is their like PSAs, the rape whistles. I remember the one of them have as like a rape whistle ad, um, drink and drive ads, or you know, teens getting into car crashes while being too drunk, whatnot. Um, But yeah, like that's literally what I remember most when it comes to Canadian content, and also like their like absurd humor when it comes to like innuendos with beavers and just like weird romance and family. It's usually like I don't know like weird like romances and like weird like family dynamic issue or just family issues when it comes to like Canadian movie films that I know of. I know I haven't finished a lot, but I know there's like the most like out there Canadian films are very like absurd or just odd, right? Maybe people like that. Maybe I haven't met anyone or know anyone who just loves these types of films that recommends me to like, watch them. I never have that in my life because most people recommend me was like um like K dramas, anime, um, American TV shows and movies, especially like in the 1990s, early 2000s films. The people usually recommend Bollywood with their films like RRR, right? Triple R, and other stuff. Um, but I just don't hear a lot about these like Canadian films, even in film festivals. That it just doesn't like hit the same. The amount of like um festivals and films that I witness when it comes to from like actual pure like small Canadian creators or independent like directors, right? It just most of it is just documentary. Most of it is just like short like um not was it comedy. It was mostly like dramas and romance. Yeah, it's like dramas and romance. There's usually a lot when it comes to like short films and stuff, but it's never like have like I don't know have a flair to it. What I just identify that as like Canadian content, and I'll say there's a nowadays not nowadays. One day later in the future, I always like fear about this, but like having a culture without much of an identity becomes like its own like cultural suicide, or like what's the word, a country that's confused with its identity, if that makes sense. Like it's they don't know what they stand for or what they bring to the table when it comes to standing, what it means to be a Canadian citizen, or sorry, what it means to be a Canadian, and what the Canadians offered, as a nation for the country or whatnot. And you should see less and less that nowadays, especially like the each upcoming next couple generations, like having more and more mixed like couples and children and all that, right? Well, like not just pure Canadians, but like without like a stereotype, I guess, of like what like um, goddamn, what is the word? Um, it doesn't have like we I don't know, like there's no like a suffice upfront, god, not upfront, main stereotype. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I was gonna post this raw anyway. Um, I'm trying to find my words. I'm just so exhausted. Um, basically, it's hard for me to identify what it means to be like what it's like to be a Canadian. What it how people usually act. What do you know them as a Canadian, or what makes a Canadian film like different than other contents around the world. That's what I'm trying to clarify or distinguish of like what can Canadians bring to the table when it comes to Canadian content, entertainment, film as a whole, right? What distinguished them with as Canadians, with their um, ideals and whatnot. So that's all I'm saying. Um, man, that just a word out I'm looking for and it's killing me. I don't even know. Um, identity crisis. That's it. Like I just like read like a lot of like in sources and videos of like what happens if when people can't find their standard and know what they identify as when it comes to being a Canadian citizen, right? In the future, it was not. It's I don't know. It would be true, but Canada's not gonna be Canada anymore, and you have like a bunch of like mixed cultures and like just like all assembling into one country, disregarding the past, like like anything to do with like being a Canadian citizen and their values is soon as just gonna be like their own culture values than this country this country's values as a whole. And excuse me if if I'm butchering this so badly, but if a country will soon have mixed cultures that slowly like gets rid of the Canadian values and their truths and history and all that, it becomes a whole new country with different cultures and morals and values. Then what does being Canadian even means anymore. Like, what's the point of having a Canadian citizen, having a country that is a Canadian, right? Like, and its history of what and how we came from, like half French, half English, like the Francophones, Anglophones, um, the Catholics in the prostates, right? All that is gonna change in the next 30 years, and then what are we gonna have left? Just a bunch of mixed cultures and blah, and then that's just what we represent now. Is that what we can stand for? Is this gonna be our country in the future? And I'm saying that is because like this also reflects on our content, our entertainment, our films, our TV shows of what we stand for. It shows clearly what's where we're coming from, and most likely it's just gonna, I don't know, it's not gonna sell as much. Besides, we our own like circle group of people of their own culture is gonna like endorse one and the other, but not everyone's gonna like you know endorse it or appreciate it. I don't know. I just don't see like a lot of like for me. I don't see like a lot of like talks and like promotions and publicity about like a lot of Canadian content nowadays. So yeah, I don't know. That's just my 2 cents about it. If you're listening to this, I'm just talking about like writing in general. For the last couple of years now, start of 2019 to now, like as a writer, I there's a lot of things that I learn a lot during the times. Um, when it comes to like you know writing a book, writing a script, writing a comic book, this and that, fan fiction, right? It mostly reflects on yourself when it comes to writing. And sometimes when I see people write, it really depends of how like where they're coming from, right? And also like what can they bring to the table that people will buy? Like what sells the most to get people to grasp over and buy it and talk about it, you know? And when it yeah, so writing is a tricky thing to win over for a group from of a group of audience. What is that? For a group of people. There we go. Right. Um, I'm tired. Just give me a minute. What I always think when it comes to good writing, I usually try to avoid the I guess fan fiction type of like mentality. And what I mean by that is that like we have like like your own OCs and you want to make them look so good that like they have like have no flaws, no issues. They're always the best. Get what they wanted and so on, right? Usually, I see that like a lot of like films back in the day. Oh, not back in the day, but films started from like 2016, from to even to nowadays, where you have the characters that are like super like um over the top, not over top. Um, it's just mostly like they don't have like a more realistic, humane side to them when it comes to writing the characters. For there's just so many examples that I want to bring up. I don't know if I'm allowed to, because sometimes if you say the wrong things, then you get people to like, well, we can't, you know, let him join our project because he said this and that, and it's like you can even say anything nowadays. So I'm just trying to be like as fair as possible and very vague and open and whatever I try to be. Or maybe I lose my shit and maybe I just fuck it and say whatever for now. But you know, like there's films like, but yeah, we'll see. But I just want to say like films like, um, I was gonna bring up Harry Potter like the next upcoming show, but that didn't it didn't really see it. Was a good example. There's one Disney show that got canceled, and I try to remember the title. I think it was Willow. So there's a show called Willow, right? And it's the most like very like modern fantasy I've ever like seen. I haven't really watched it like 100%, but the things I've saw, it's like they don't even really care, or if they do care, they don't really like care about the source material or put in the effort that really makes it like a good fantasy. Because when it comes to fantasy writing, right, it's always about like knowing this like the magic system, or if there's no magic system, the lore, the the structure of like the towns and the people, the class system, the races, the dynamics between the races, all that, right? And then you just have Willow, for example, the show, to just have like all comedy with no substance, or just like have like little like conflict. Most of it like it's just all like modern comedy. It's like it. You know what I'm talking about when it comes to modern comedy. Like very like not very offensive, very PC, very like goofy humor. I didn't mean it like that. But who knows? Bazinga. Like you know what I'm talking about. I don't know. Like it's just like no one really wants that type of like when it comes to fantasy especially no one wants that type of like um show and he doesn't have an identity at that point. It's just like I don't know, slop. And that's why it literally just got erased from the Disney Plus what do you call it, not store, Disney Plus service. You can't even find it no more. It's not even there anymore because it's that like unwatchable, or it's not unwatchable, it's just that bad. And it's like you can't, people defend it, but I can't like pretend to defend it like it's not bad or it's just okay. Nah, even from like the start, it's like they have like I try to remember. It's been a while, but they have like this girl main character, and like she's hooking up with this girl, the other girl. I don't know, she's like an elf, and then they have this like weird like basic relationship. It's like, okay, whatever. And then they have this guy with the axe, and then the Willow himself. He just walks around and just says lore shit, and they go through like these adventures. And in the end, when it all just comes to an end of defeating the bad guy and whatnot, it's just it doesn't feel earned or satisfying. It was just like, what did I just watch? It was just pointless. It was the whole adventure was just randomness. It's just randomness. And it's not even Willow. It's like one of the examples. It's not even just Willow. There's also other shows, not just like Disney. It's also like it's also whatever, um Netflix and I want to say CBC. I don't even watch it much about CBC. I'll be honest. It's just much news stuff and like kids content. Um, like there's a lot of like distribution companies just have these like shows and films that it's like you don't even have like the right people to write for this type of stuff. You just bring them in because they have like I don't know. They just bring them in because they are successful from like their past previous things, and they just bring them in for something that they can't even not can't write, but they can't even like like offer that is that makes sense to the source material, I guess, or not the right people to work for this type of like franchises and projects and stuff is my biggest issue. And when it comes to like original work, it's again it's hit or miss, but it really depends like who's writing and who's like managing what's and the actors acting on their roles and whatnot. And I'm trying to find like an original project that I can remember. I'm gonna say Invincible, but it's like from like a comic sorry, a comic book. The same as The Boys. Um I'm trying to find like original stuff that I can remember. Most like most of the stuff I remember is like a bunch of like stupid like Netflix films that I watched during 2020, and I hit like Tall Girl and freaking Kissing Booth Ever After. Like some of it's just fan fiction. The other stuff is just like original, but it's like very bare bones, like young adult movie shit. Is it? I don't know what you call it. Is it young adult or like teenage movies? Or fucking what's the there's a term for it. What is it? Chick flick? But I don't know. Is it chick flick? I don't know. Whatever. Like those like I think Kissing Booth is it not Kissing is it? No, Tall Girl's original. I think Tall Girl's original. I'll use that for example, right? It's like it's the most like basic stuff, but it's like who even pays attention to it and watches like, yeah, that's my shit. Uh-huh. Tall Girl is the best during 2020. Like no one says that because it's so original but not it's it's unoriginal but also original if that makes sense. It's not even like it's just too basic. It's not even basic enough. It's just its own thing, but they just ruined the romance. Like the romance is just very like stupid. Like the short boy wants the tall girl, and it was like hinted throughout the movie. And even Disney Channel movies does this even like does this right with its like own flair, like Camp Rock, right? The first Camp Rock or High School Musical. High School Musical 1, 2, 3 actually are successful movies because it's just fun. They know what they're doing. It's very basic, but there's a formula that works, and how they tell it actually made it successful. Kissing Booth, just it's just random on the nose, and it's just like it doesn't like have a message that's like well the message is not bad, but it isn't like strong that hits your gut. It's just like bruh. Like the man just brought like a whole. I don't think you care about spoilers. The man just brought like a milk crate. The whole time he carried that shit to school because he knew one day when he I don't know like when he finally tells tall girl I don't know her name is what I think her name is Emily that he likes her, and when she confesses confesses him as feeling the same way how he feels, right? They both feel each other. Then he used that milk crate to stand on to kiss her. That was the point of the milk crate. And it's like, bro, what? Like, I don't know, man. Like, it's something was there, but it just didn't hit the mark. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know where I'm going with this. It's like a tangent at this point. But yeah, like that's what I mean by like this type of like the writing nowadays. It's just not having the right people to write certain projects, and that's what it just drives me insane. Is you have like, and I know there's young, not just young, talented people who can write certain things, but people just like the producers and business people just bring in like the wrong type of people to work on their work, to work on the projects for the company to distribute and to sell, and it's not selling it right, especially with start like now it like modern star sorry modern Star Trek, where like yeah, Picard and like the newer like series, it's not hitting as like the earlier stuff. um what is it, I'm trying to remember the names. um Star Trek LG, Star Trek it's not LG, it's some like three letter term. Damn, I'm missing. Oh my gosh, I forgot. Whatever. Different. They're just the earlier Star Trek series actually like carries value and actually has something to tell in each of their like see I don't know sequels, but like each of their it's whatever series, their stories, their own like seasonal stories. They have something to present, to project, to show, to literally tell. When it comes to nowadays, for Star Trek, it's just it especially like with the lighting. Lighting is always like dark for some reason. The earlier ones just like have like actual like props and sets. Well, nowadays it's just like CGI, which we know it's gonna be a lot more used, but the lighting is always dark for some reason. They always don't turn up the lights bright enough. It just looks like they're in like a basement, the basement ship, going through the galaxies. Like, bro. But anyway, I don't know. You just do. It's that type of stuff, and it's just, bro. What does even happen anymore? I'm just meditating at this point. And I don't know, but I was gonna get all right. You know what? Yeah, I was gonna give examples when it comes to like writing characters specifically, like from as a writer alone right here. Hey, what's up? But for me as a writer, I just want to say when it comes to writing characters, and I'm making it like fan fictiony, right? There's nothing wrong to give your characters flaws, right? And and speaking of my personal like opinion when it comes to writing, I can give you like my viewpoint when it comes to like relationships and romance and stuff like that. People like I always grew up where people like always want something out of me, right? Because when it comes to like communication and relationships, you always want give us something and give something back. The back and forth exchange, like it's like a rhythm, a beat. Like I send something, they send something to me back. I talk, they talk. She talk, I talk. He talk, she talk. All that, right? And they're giving like beats after beat of like relatability, connection, stories. perspective, opinions, all that in one character is shows you a whole like story on its own doubt like alone for whatever comes out of their mouths, and it makes sense for who they are, who they what they're going for what they're gonna be later down the line in the future, and also show in the past and the present, all that, right? And it has to be like makes it has to make sense, right? You can't have someone who like for example, like I goes to high school, getting kiss every like hot girl in school, and then go to high school, they just become gay. It's like, where's the progression? Where do we lead from? This guy just went to high school, getting all like the baddies and shit, right? And then he goes to college. He got engaged with a gay guy, and because he became gay. Like, bro, you just sort of ask questions like, how? Where do we begin? Like that's the thing that like they just you're rushing through like power beats just to get to the execution. But it's like, bro, you had to set up, put developments, and then ended with those developments with the execution. It's like a joke. You set up a punchline and then you put the punchline at the end. You set up a joke and then add a punchline at the end so that you know it gives out a punchline to make the joke work. That's the point of a joke. Um, like banana peel on the street, guy walk up, slips on it, and he he did a Peter Griffin, like sound effect. Like that's a joke, right? Hit or miss, but that's a joke. That's a build up and there's an execution. There's a punchline. You can't do like you can't rush that. It has to build up to make sense. That's what I'm trying to point out and just saying like yeah, there has to be something there. There has to be evidence to make it work. That's what I'm literally am just begging to people to follow that process. Because if you don't follow it, and you're just appeasing to like people on social media, just like follow what's trending and use that just to appease the audience, then you're not succeeding as a writer. You're appeasing those audiences because they say what they say that they prefer and want. So you gotta make them happy. Then you just do what as they say by not doing the developments and proper build up and decide to just make the characters as what they as what the audience wants. That's not good writing. You don't do that. You, like I get back to literally back to like the high school example. You can't just make someone who's straight and then gay in like less than 2 years. Like that's a whole lot of development just happened. There has to be something there, or just don't add the gay part and just make them just straight, because then you just confuse people and it just you just piss people off at the end, and no one's happy. Even the people who like watching gay characters don't like that type of shit because that shit doesn't work. You either give them that or you don't. Like you can't have both. Because again, that just gets people like to be not interested in what you're writing. Like you're just shooting yourself in the foot. You're just putting the match in your room and set the room on fire. Like you're setting yourself to failure. You don't do that. Like I said, like you always have to focus on the setting, the build up, the development, and the execution for it to work. And that's all. That's all. It's basic, but like it's important to be fluent in my gosh, fluent with consistencies, fluent inconsistencies, whatever. Um, it has to be consistent. That's all I want to say. Um, but gosh, I'm going through so many. There's so much things I want to say, but Yeah, but like back to like what I'm saying about like relationships and friendships and stuff. Um, I have a lot. When I was growing up, right? I'll make this short. I have people that I can't count on because they're not honest with me. Even to this day, I was friends with people from churches to Halloween parties, the damn club lineup club, and I didn't get to the club because I'd pay $40 and I just bailed on that shit. Um, but there's people that I was like I gotten to good connections with, but in the end it didn't work out because there isn't like a consistent flow of like people wanting to reach out with me, or they're just not being honest with me, or even better, they're not communicating well enough, and they expect me to be better, or expect me to do what they expect me to be, but how can I do that if there's no communication between us? You see what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say their names. I'm not gonna say her name. I'm not gonna say his name. But there is people that through my life, they're not giving me not even cues of like what they're feeling with me and how they feeling with themselves and all that. It's just like pure communication of like they're not like explaining or telling me specifically what the issue is or or whatnot because they expect me to catch up on it, even though they don't even know where I'm coming from. I grew up where people, not with people, I grew up where I don't talk a lot of people. I don't talk to, and I used to be antisocial. I can just say that right now. So that tells you that I'm not good with like communicate. I'm not good with communicating at all. Doesn't mean I can't try, but I'm literally like giving my all to like make sure my relationships and friendships stay healthy, and I was always be my best, you know, ringer up when it comes like trying to be like that to be my best effort when it comes to my attributes as a human in society, right? But people can't do the same to me back. Then what's the point for me putting the effort if you're not giving that same back to me? That is my issue. And I'm not alone with that because I know there's other people going through the same struggles. But again, where I'm coming from when it comes to relationships, you have to make sure it's not just relatable, it has to be understandable as well, right? Like for me explaining this right now, like I'm pretty sure someone will understand where I'm coming from when it comes to like not good with like talking to other people, even though they're trying their best. They are talking, doing their best to just have that stable relationship and communication and all that. But if something comes up and it's that person's fault because he's not picking up the cues, and because that person's always busy and you're talking too much, and you're weird, and that's why I'm blocking you on Instagram. Like, bro, if you're not clearing something up, how is it that person's fault of not knowing what's gonna come up and all that going on with your life if you're not gonna explain what is happening right now? And like, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of stories I heard that like people are not like telling like what is up, and then they expect them to just catch up on it because they're their friends and they should know better. Like, motherfucker, if you don't tell me what the hell's happening, then how am I supposed to help you? How am I supposed to understand if you're not gonna do the same and just make this like like help me understand where you're coming from. Like I don't know what you're doing. I don't know if you're working or you're doing drama class. I don't know if you're fucking being a prostitute. I don't know. You're not explaining shit. And it's like, and it's frustrating because you like you all you need to do is literally explain to that your friend, even if it's not even your friend, still explain to that person, hey, I don't want to talk right now because this isn't that. We'll talk later, da 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 da, and we'll see. And that's all you need to say. And so so that there, there's an actual bridge between the gap of that person and the other. Know where the, the wavelengths is at. They know where it's going. They know like what what the situation is, so that person's not gonna bother that person, and we can move on with our merry ways. It's it's not rocket science. So yeah, like, back to what I was saying. It's literally about like understanding where your character is coming from, consistency, relatability, and most importantly, common sense. And if you get that down, nitty gritty, on the damn notepad, on your paper, on your desktop, on your Word documents, on your paper, toilet paper, if you get all that shit down, then you know what you're doing. That's bare bones, but that's literally what makes you a decent writer. That it's a start, but like there's no that's nothing wrong with that because you can't rush it. Because again, that leads to what I'm saying in the beginning. It doesn't make you can't rush the process. It doesn't make you a good writer because you want to get things done. Yeah, you want to get things done, but you have to take your time and develop those ideas, or it's just gonna flop. That's that's all it is. That's all there is to it. Focus on the progress. Focus on that progress. Progress. And then you reach success. And now have an exit now. And then you be successful. What? Anyway, yeah, yeah. All right, that's all I want to say.